So due to fractional reserve banking and the Fed just printing up money, the system is going to collapse. Is that correct?
That is correct.
It seems like fiat money is just backed by violence. Is there any way to fix the current crooked system?
No.
So cryptocurrency gives sovereignty of money back to people and takes the power away from governments and central banks.
It does.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Satoshi Sean. Glad you're here. Before I forget, if it's your first time here, hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications. No matter what, if you're an old subscriber, new subscriber, crush the like button, really helps us out. Got my good bro, Chris Rice Crypto. Well, Chris Rice Crypto.
Rice, yeah.
I'm gonna have a link down to his channel in the description. Head over there and subscribe. He's got a lot of good content, a lot of good interviews. He's a anarchist and volunteerist. A lot of good videos. Some that aren't even that much about crypto, but they're really just good. How you doing, bud?
Doing great, man. I really appreciate you having me on the show. We've been talking about doing this. So I'm glad we've been making this happen.
Yeah, we talk a lot about behind the scenes. We're actually friends, but as far as content stuff, we haven't done anything yet.
No, but I'm glad we are.
Speaking of that, something I wanted to go over with you is I know you had talked to someone big in crypto, and I have talked to everyone about it. Is there should be some kind of, I've always thought some kind of fund or a philanthropical agency that helps promote quality content or just promotes crypto in general as far as education and awareness. And there's nothing. And I was talking to you about how there's the Beef Council and the Ad Council and every industry, dairy, whatever, they seem to have this nonprofit association that all farmers or all whatever, they all pitch into, that has this fund that promotes, and it's not like a union, but it promotes and it safeguards that industry. I think
it's a great idea, man. And thinking about it, I can't really recall anything that's going on, like you said, that's trying to do that. So here's an opportunity for people to take the initiative. Yourself, me and you, a bunch of other people, a collective, form a nonprofit with the overall goal of just promoting positive things that are helping with mass adoption, for cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, and try to come up with a governance model, a decentralized governance model, so people can decide, how and what to promote, and that way it's not so biased, because I wouldn't want to be involved and just particularly promote just us, because that wouldn't be fair to everybody else. So
it would. I mean, we wouldn't even have to be decentralized. It could be a centralized nonprofit, which I know. I did a couple stories on the Cryptopolitan, which he reminds me of this. I need to promote my other channels, but for news, I have a channel, the Cryptopolitan. Head over there if you want daily news on crypto and blockchain. And I've done a couple stories, and they weren't connected in any way, but Bitcoin Cash came out, and this is about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't know if you remember, but Litecoin, they had this huge FUD because they didn't have a lot of development over the past months or last year.
Well, I think the FUD was more of there was a lot of infighting apparently within the developers. And
there was nothing on the GitHub, and then people noticed that, and they were like, hey, and then but the end result is they said, hey, we need money for developers. But every big project now, they're saying, hey, we really do need more money to focus on development. And Bitcoin Cash came out, and they said, hey, we want to basically tax miners. It was 1%, and that go to a fund for developers. And then who was it? I think it was Tron or someone that came out. They wanted to take 10%. It was way bigger.
Right.
But that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, is different projects or miners, because it would have to be miners for a decentralized thing like Bitcoin. but a small portion, 0.5%, 0.25%, something that goes into this, and it's just a non-biased that just promotes crypto education, billboards, because the first I made this point, no one seems to think it's as big of a deal. I think the first thing that a lot of people hear about cryptocurrency is when they're doing their taxes this year and they get that question. What the hell is cryptocurrency? What the hell is this digital thing? Which I thought was a huge deal that it was on the tax forms this year.
Yeah, no, my girl told me she saw that when she got her taxes done.
Yeah, and that when I saw that, I was like, "Whoa, this is big." And then I thought about it. I was like, "How sad is it that this could be the first time that someone has heard about cryptocurrency?" Even Bitcoin. There's people that haven't heard about Bitcoin, and people always say, about cryptocurrency? What, like Bitcoin? Oh, I heard of Bitcoin, but and then you start the conversation. But oh, that's another thing I forgot to go over in my video on Monarch, and I think you forgot to go over it too. I think it's a really huge thing about it is that Beatles have talked about. There's this new feature for taxes that you can port over all of your transactions to just give them to your.
Well, see, I didn't even know about that, and there's nothing updated on their website.
I
So,
know
yeah.
that's I asked him about it because I was doing that video and I said, hey, I really want to. That's why I want to interview him because I want to find out more about it because it's with that tax question and all of the stories I've been doing on regulation. I think 2020 is going to be the year that there's a real framework and I think Lieber really kind of pushed this, where government was like, hey, this is real. This is kind of serious. We need to know what this is. We need to get our claws in it and figure something out. So I think that there's going to be a definite regulatory framework, at least for taxes, because right now it's just stupid. It
Yeah,
makes
no,
no sense.
I totally agree as far as the taxes is concerned. But to loop back around with what you were talking about with Bitcoin Cash and their dev taxes, I guess what they're I guess they're called dev tax is what they're calling it. There are some cryptocurrencies that when they are created, they have a tax built in to do something like this to allow funding for whether it's for development, for marketing, or whether it's airdrops or whatever the situation might be. And I think now it can be controversial, and I think it definitely needs to be a community based decision. But the idea, I think, is a positive thing. And I think Litecoin's doing it with like 0.5% from the miners for each block going towards
Yeah, they came
the
out with like half a
foundation.
percent or 1%. It wasn't much.
Right.
Or
And
no,
and that
yeah,
it definitely does a lot because now I'll use Bitcoin as a perfect example. And I talk about this in a lot of my videos, and I interviewed Roger Ver, and we talk about this. Bitcoin right now, there's no one paying developers to improve Bitcoin. Anybody who develops is doing it basically for free. And so there's no incentive as far as a financial incentive for people to do that. Now you've got a company like Blockstream that are creating these layer two solutions and side chains and things like that to get around the problem, and they in turn can profit off of it
and control it.
and pay these same developers to be able to work. So instead of these developers that could be improving the Bitcoin protocol, they're working for Blockstream. Now where Bitcoin Cash and what Litecoin's doing and all these other cryptocurrencies like Dash that have these funding models built in, it's allowing them to be able to pay developers so that there is some sort of financial incentive for people to improve that technology and to keep innovating. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with what Bitcoin has become. And I love Bitcoin. I love the brand, but I hate what has happened to it. And but as a whole, I still believe in cryptocurrency, and I believe that Bitcoin is always going to have that special place. I do believe that in the future we're going to see something that's way more innovative that's going to bring that mass adoption, in my opinion. But I think a dev tax is definitely something that people should look at as a positive thing. But
Yeah,
10% and things like that, that's a little bit ridiculous.
yeah.
And to force it on a community
Well,
is
that's another thing. To force it is wrong, and it won't work. It just creates dissension, especially with the the type of people that are in the crypto community, that are still in the crypto community, because there's not a lot of regular folks here. The people that are still here after the bear market, I think there are a lot more libertarians, anarchists, people that just don't like authority because authority exists. So for anything to be forced on them, they're not going to be cool with.
Right.
Like with Steam, you seem like you're really unhappy about the what was going on from what you posted. You weren't asked about the Tron taking
Yeah,
over.
I mean, I thought this is a decentralized project. I didn't know that there was somebody or a group of people behind it that owned enough of a majority that they could say, yes, you can purchase this. I'd like to actually look into that a little bit more. And what you're talking about is the news that Tron, Justin Sun have acquired the Steam blockchain. Um, I don't know what that means. I don't know much more about that. But yeah, I just thought, and I guess I was a little bit late on the news, but it's not like the Steam It platform is just posting this information just
It's
where
weird to me how Tron is like the Google of crypto and nobody cares. I mean, the biggest competitor out there to YouTube is DLive. That's it. There's nothing that really comes close. PewDiePie moved over there as far as, like star power and stuff like that. Um,
I
I mean,
like library. I think library, but as far as like having that
but real numbers, DLive and
high
Twitch
user
and
numbers.
and Tron just bought it. Tron owns DLive. Tron owns Steam It.
Yeah,
They're literally becoming Google, and people still just it's just a little shitcoin. They had a it wasn't Pirate Bay. Who did they buy?
BitTorrent.
Yeah, BitTorrent. I mean,
Yeah,
it's massive, dude. It's
yeah.
massive, and nobody
Okay,
talks about it.
so you saw that I put that video out today, where Peter McCormick recorded a video of him hanging out with Justin Sun saying that Tron is a shitcoin to buy a shitcoin, and some people think it was a marketing ploy. He might have been drunk and just been who knows, and it's neither here nor there. And I'm not. That video wasn't made to talk crap about Tron. But the point is that I wanted to make about Tron is that there's no innovation. There's nothing there in the technology that separates the Tron blockchain or TRX from any other cryptocurrency. They claim to be an Ethereum killer, and really it's more of a clone of Ethereum than anything. And the thing that goes behind them, the thing that they really got that other cryptocurrencies don't have, is the marketing. Justin Sun is
And the money.
excellent, yeah, excellent marketer, excellent with some of the money came in from people buying into Tron early on. It may not have been like he may not have had all this money previous. I know he went to a school that Jack Ma runs. He's got some interesting connections, and China, the government of China, is doing the same thing that the Federal Reserve is doing with their monetary system. They're printing up money and they're
But the
supporting.
connection to China, to the Chinese government, and him, that always that worried me. Like
Yeah, well,
when he first canceled
CZ
the
from Binance, all of it. They're all like, it's some sort of syndicate.
when he first canceled the lunch with Warren Buffett, and BitBoy was out in. By the way, if you're not watching BitBoy, you should watch him. He's a cool guy.
Yeah,
But
BitBoy is cool.
he was out in San Francisco. He went there to meet Justin, and he met him. He talked to him, and it was obvious to me the dude wasn't too sick. It was obvious to me there was some stress. There was something weird, and BitBoy knew it.
Yeah.
And he even called it. He's like, I think the Chinese government stopped this, and they did. And then it came out that they may have had like some of his team arrested because he kind of stepped out of line with what he was doing. So it just seems, and I mean,
China's very controlling, man. They're
it is.
and this is, since you said this, I do want to start doing some like kind of roundtable discussions and talk about certain topics, and this would be a really cool topic to talk about. Talking about some of these crypto conspiracies.
Well, that did make me start thinking that I'm kind of a conspiracy guy. But when I started thinking about it, just like Google, just they slowly amassed so much power to where they kind of run stuff. And Tron just seems to be doing that. I'm not saying anything negative about Tron, but like you said, they're not. It's not that they're super, all this innovation, but eventually they're going to own everything. You know what I mean?
I mean, it is possible. I mean, and I mean, as I said in my video, I do own Tron. I didn't buy it to invest in it. I accumulated it, and I have it. But you know, uh, that doesn't mean that just because a coin doesn't have good technology or is not innovative, that it's not worth investing into. But I wouldn't
Yeah.
invest in it just because of marketing and hype. I would make
Mm,
sure that it's got a good team behind it, and most importantly, a use case. If there's a cryptocurrency, a blockchain project out there that's not really innovative and special in its technology, but the use case that they're creating is something that's valuable, I can stand behind something like that. But
but Chris, when you use words like investment, then that's kind of honestly, hype is super important. You know what I mean? I bought so much Tron, and I just traded it against Verge when Verge was doing the Pornhub, the greatest announcement ever. It was Verge would go up, I would dump, buy Tron, Tron would go down, Tron would go up, Verge would go down. I just traded them back and forth until the announcement came out.
right.
So when it comes to investment in something, then I think that hype it's super important. When it comes to long term investing in a project rather than investing in a coin, I guess that's
Yeah, well,
different.
that's
Yeah,
where it goes into like, what is your personal strategy? Do you trade? Are you just someone who holds coins? So, I mean, there's a whole lot of factors that go into play with those kind of things because I don't believe in the technologies behind XRP or Ripple. I don't like anything about them, but I will utilize that token to not because it's not a cryptocurrency, that digital currency. I will utilize it on platforms to be able to earn more Satoshi to stack my
yeah,
sats.
and I leverage trade XRP all the time.
Yeah.
I'm more than I do Ethereum.
I mean,
Just
if they're going to manipulate the markets, and that it's coming, you might as well take advantage of the ride. You're not I'm not hurting anything by doing what I'm doing because I'm just kind of like just jumping in the stream. Like the stream is going to keep going whether I'm in it or not. I'm just jumping in for a minute,
well,
just
that's another thing about
grab,
XR. I don't think
grabbing me some more
XR.
Bitcoin.
I don't think XRP is that bad because they came out and they said, hey, we're going to work with banks. We're the bank. We're the bank crypto. We like banks, bank, bank, bank. And everyone's like, they're like banks. They're connected to banks, and we're like, yeah, that's why they're gonna 3000x this 2017. They're talking to American Express. That's it's like, yeah, but it goes against everything. But I mean, you're gonna buy stock in American Bank or whatever if something's coming out. Yeah,
Well, I mean, if you think about this logically too, when you look at all the different cryptocurrencies and you look at like just even the top 10 or top 20 or 25, how many of those projects are decentralized and how many of them are centralized? And when you think about this logically and you're looking at it from a government regulation standpoint, governments are going to be a lot more supportive of these centralized companies because they're going to play game. They're going to play by the rules and they're going to do everything they're supposed to do. And unfortunately, because they're centralized companies, they're also more likely going to have a lot more of money to work with, some revenue, and they can do a lot more marketing. Like XRP has been able to like have people like Ashton Kutcher go on, what was it, Ellen DeGeneres' show? I mean,
yeah,
how
yeah,
huge is that? That's pretty huge when you think about that. And it's like all they have to do is they Ripple organization owns like 60% of the supply of their coins. So I mean, all they got to do is just basically just like pay somebody with this imaginary monopoly money that they've created. But because they are trying to work within the system and not against the system, it I do believe something like that would be successful. But
mm-hmm.
like like I said, I don't mind short-term trading to accumulate my Satoshis, but long-term, like just for principles, I can't hold something like that
Mm-hmm.
and support it regardless in that sense. And some people I know won't even trade the coin because of that. But
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
Which,
not like I'm super actively trading
mhm.
XRP, but I'm not going to say that I've never done it.
Yeah, it's just weird that it sounds like it's a guilty
and
pleasure or
and and
something.
to come back to the tax thing, like the really cool thing that I think is going to come out of that being on the tax forms is it's going to make people who wanted to invest in 2017 that didn't invest. It's going to make them think like, why the hell is cryptocurrency listed here? Like,
Hmm.
because normally when you think about this, it's well, that means somebody made money and they got to report profits.
Right, which is
And
why people come in.
right, so maybe it'll start, bringing a little bit more attention in that aspect where people will be like, well, maybe I should have invested then because now I could see that people who invested made money and the price went down. I need to not let this opportunity pass me by.
Now I brought that up with Ken, and he got kind of mad, but because I mean, it's a punch in the face because it's reality, and when reality punches you in the face, it pisses you off. But some people, what I said is that legitimized cryptocurrency to so many people, and that's offensive to a lot of people, but it's true. I have friends that are literally they make, oh god, I get so pissed because they say Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, and then I hold back from punching them, and then I'm like, do you know what a Ponzi scheme is? Let's look it up on my phone. Now you understand that there's not people coming in. Explain how everything works. But when they see that, they're like, oh, this is legitimate because
Well, yeah,
the
so
government said something about it. You know what I
right, and
mean?
the majority of people are sheeple, and this is where me and Ken, we disagree on things. People have been conditioned to think a certain way. So, and they play the game. They pay their taxes. They participate in the system, and they do everything that they're supposed to do as a law-abiding citizen to be patriotic to the United States, make sure the Federal Reserve gets theirs. So those kind of people. It is going to make a big impact and legitimize cryptocurrency in that aspect because there are so many people that are not awake, and that's what I keep trying to explain to Ken. Like we talk about how small this market actually is and how little of people are that's actually involved. I mean, I think it's less than 1%, or if it's even increased, it's less than 2% of the world.
You
So I
know that
mean,
that the term awake, it really is. I know it's like a buzzword, but people will ask me something, Republican, Democrat, and I'm like, neither. And they're confused. What? And like I've told my friend, I'm more of an anarchist. And he's like, you're like fucking Antifa? I'm like, what? It's like, dude, you don't understand.
yeah,
I was like,
Antifa has
yeah.
nothing to do with anarchists.
Or if I'm a libertarian, then he's like, so you're like a liberal Democrat? I'm like, libertarian people don't even understand that, let alone forget anarchist. You know what I mean? But now this is personal. Now I, I'm old. I'm 63, and
Dude,
so
I'm
I've been around.
86.
See, most people would say,
I mean, I
really?
was in I was in
You
World
didn't.
War II.
Yeah, you didn't fall for it. Okay. So anyway, but I am old, right? So I was around 9/11 happened, and
Me too.
I remember 9/11 happened. Everyone's like glued to the TV, and I can understand if you're under 30, okay, under 25, but anyone over that, they saw it. They know what happened. They watched it, and I'll ask people how many towers fell in New York City. 99%. Two. World Trade Center, two buildings. And I'm like, no, there was a third building. World Trade Center number 7 is an office building. It's like 40 stories high. It's massive. No plane hit it. It perfectly fell into itself. And
Hmm.
then they have to look it up. I had to show it to them. I was like, you watched this on the news. You saw this. And they're like, I don't remember this. I don't. And then they get kind of freaked out because I'm like, dude, I don't know why, but over the years, you must have been like trained sheeple wise to forget that this happened. And I know we're gonna get demonetized because we talked about this already. The algorithm's gonna pick it up, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's funny when we talk about demonetized, because we were talking earlier about how little of money we make. So being demonetized doesn't affect like anything that we do. Like, and
No, and like I said to you, it seems like
We're
YouTube's
throwing a bone to YouTube.
yeah, YouTube's business model is set up to hurt content creators because they're not going to pull ads on your videos.
So
They're
you're
not going to
welcome,
stop putting
YouTube.
them on there. Yeah, they're just like, oh, now we don't have to give you any money.
We're going to
Thanks.
talk about China, the
Yeah,
coronavirus. We're going to talk about it all. We might even talk. We're going to go everywhere.
just uh,
Just China, coronavirus, corona, pick me up, algorithm, AI, and
but
yeah.
but to see someone's face, dude, when they see like, that World Trade Center 7 fall, and I'm like, this is like 30 minutes later or whatever, an hour later. I said, and you
Yeah.
saw this, you watched this happen. This was a big deal. They did a whole 60 minutes thing on it. They did a report on it, and the report starts out with, through the history of architecture, no other building has ever fallen from fire, but this happened. There was a fire like in a break room on the 5th floor, and the building fell into itself perfectly. No, I mean that's
Yeah.
just. And then people are like, holy shit, I don't believe I forgot this. I don't believe you forgot it either. It's crazy.
It is, man, but there's a psychology behind like the things that go on in the media as far as the words they say, the images they show, colors. It's insane. It goes behind like the propaganda. It's, in a way, once the United States was able to help defeat the Nazi German forces, we almost took over their philosophy
Yeah,
and incorporated it here in the United States without trying to be very public about it. And
it was like a blueprint instead
I
of
mean,
something to be feared.
this is all propaganda and all bullshit, and we've been fed a bunch of lies, and I try to wake people up, and
Well,
I know that
it seems
I
to me
try
like
to make
when I
people
do
aware of
too,
this.
I do try to do that, and like they see it, they become like half woke up, but they're still just like they're used to it. You know what I mean?
Some
It's like,
people
yeah,
are.
like Epstein didn't kill himself. Everyone did it. Everyone knows it.
It just takes the right kind of person to get through to some people, and that's the cool thing I like about our community. If you look at like the differences of people like between me and you, with Ken, Bitcoin Ben, Omar Bam, Crypto Zombie, some just all the different people in the space. If you look at the differences in people, we're hitting different audiences, and like I'm reaching people that you wouldn't reach. Ben's reaching people that I couldn't reach. Ken's reaching people that none of us would reach. So it makes it more impactful for us to be able to get these messages out to people.
It seems, but it's frustrating for me, and that's why I told you you're a very positive influence in my life, and you're a very positive friend because I get really frustrated. Like the world knows and admits, just everyone that posted a meme that Epstein didn't kill himself. Everyone knows. We know how the world works, but we're cool. It sucks.
All right, we're
Here's
complacent.
here's a meme,
We're
dude.
complacent.
You know, the America 50 years ago would be killing. I can't say that. Stuff wouldn't happen that way.
We gotta plant seeds though, regardless, man. We gotta plant seeds, and and when you talk about me trying to, me being positive, I mean, it's not an easy walk, and I'm not always positive about things, but I try to have an overall positive outlook. And when it really comes down to it, when there's things that in the world, and this has kind of been my overall philosophy for all the things I talk about on my channel, is practice change. And it's being the change that you want to see in this world, because too many people complain about the things that they don't like. And that really is just not doing anything. It's not doing any good for you, especially because it's just negative energy that you're putting out for nothing. And it's not positive at all. So, what I encourage people to do is to do something, about the things they don't like, and be the change they want to see, and do it by example. It's not an easy path, because if you really want to walk the path, you're going to be mindful about the things you say and do, and how you interact, and how you're treating people, because I really try to treat people how I want to be treated. And I can't say that I'm always perfect in that. That's why I call this walk practice change, is because you can practice it every day and every moment, and you can always learn from everything you do, whether it's good or bad.
You always seem
And
less frustrated than me, which everyone says I'm like really calm.
I smoke a lot of
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I smoke a lot of medicinal
Yeah,
herbs,
you do that. I don't do that. That
and
might be the
that
that may be the
definitely
difference,
does.
man. That may be the
And well,
difference.
even without smoking, maybe you should even just possibly give something like CBD a try. I mean, you could take that in a lot of different forms. Maybe you have some anxiety issues that you need to deal with, and maybe that'll help. I don't encourage people to necessarily, to use what I use, because what I use works well for me. But definitely find out what works for you, because in a lot of it, I know you're working on things like this because you tell me about spending time with your family on Wednesdays, and you show me some of the food you cook, and you cook a lot of really healthy meals. But definitely food, what you're putting in your body is going to have a lot of effect on you in general, on your mind and everything. We don't think about how sometimes when I don't eat for a couple hours, I start feeling like kind of stupid and groggy and just can't really like think as clearly and straight. Like not everything's firing as good. Get something to eat, get a little bit of fuel in my body, and everything starts connecting. And all of a sudden, voila, ooh, here I am.
So we're going to Anarchy next year, right?
I'm gonna try my best, dude. I got to get some stuff worked out so I can get my passport, but that is the goal.
Yeah, it's
Now,
my goal too.
If Bitcoin does what it's supposed to do this year, then fucking yes, I'll be there for sure. So
I wanted to go this year so bad. It seemed like everyone but me and you went.
yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, I've been to a lot of conferences, and I definitely want to go to this event, but there's some things I'm looking forward to, and there's some things that I really don't care for. But overall, I still want to go.
Yeah, I really want to go. And Bitcoin Ben is having, and the Wild West Crypto Show having a meetup. Wants me to go. I think it's April 2nd. I'll leave a link to that just for Ben. But
There's a possibility I'll go to that. Yeah, because he's trying to get me to go to that too.
well,
And
you went to the one in Narcadelphia.
when Anarchadelphia was going on the same time period, the weekend after that was Coinvention, which I'll be at Coinvention this year. Shout out to Alex Skaggs for Coinvention. But the weekend before Coinvention, they did Anarchadelphia, which was kind of like a fork of Anarchapulco. And in between the two weekends, Ben did a meetup right outside of Philly. And so when I came up for Anarchadelphia, I stayed around for Bitcoin Ben's meetup because I wanted to talk to several people that were there and meet them in person. And yeah, so that was an interesting meetup. I wish you could have been there because
Yeah, I would have went.
Ben was outside dealing with a friend of mine who yeah, it was just they had a really interesting conversation. I mean,
I want to hear more about that.
Ben even talks about it a little bit in the video that he did because hold on one sec. He was talking, then he gave it to John Kim. John Kim was talking, did his thing. Then Ben was supposed to take the mic back, introduce me, and I was going to talk. And then Ben was going to take it back, and then him and the Wild West crypto guys were going to end it. But somewhere in the mix, my friend was outside talking to Ben, and they had a heated conversation, and Ben couldn't get away from the conversation. So while John Kim was live on Ben's channel, after John Kim was done talking, he took the microphone and just like tossed it down on the podium that we were using in the bar that we were at, and Ben was outside. So Ben had invited me to speak, and like nobody was going to do anything. It was just going to be blank. Like John didn't know that Ben was outside and wasn't going to come. So I just grabbed the microphone and did my thing and was talking about, basically promoting what anarchy is and a little bit of what I do as far as like as a content creator and why I'm involved in the space. But yeah,
Dude, one of the funniest things
I
was
love Ben.
I love Ben too. Well, funniest things ever. I talk about this. I told the story like a bunch of times, but we met up. It was like a private party that Apollo threw in Austin, and Ben was there. Bitboy, Jay Chain, a lot of people were there, but I got there a little late, and we're all around the pool, and Ben was drunk. He was, and Bob Walker was drunk. They were, but I like kick back, and they just start talking about blockchain, and literally, dude, they just came up with this idea for a blockchain crypto for the trucking industry. Like within 30 minutes, dude, they're just coming back. What about this? Yeah, we could put NFC chips here. We could do this. Like, yeah, dude, I know some people. They could do this, and then they had this whole problem laid out, and I was like, man, I'm used to getting drunk with stupid people who want to like jump off the roof, and this is fucking. They're just coming up with all these ideas. It was amazing. It was funny.
Well, imagine like doing something like that in a place like Vegas. Yeah, like I've had, like I've had the fortunate opportunity now to be going to Vegas 3 times over the past a little over a year now. I got to go to 2 World CryptoCons, and I went out there for a DevCon event. So, um, and every time I go out there, man, it's like just some of the coolest partying with a lot of the people in the space. I mean, and that's one of the things I really do like about a lot of the people in this community is there's a lot of just freedom-minded people that they just live life in a way that they enjoy, that also works well for them. And sometimes they like to party hard, and sometimes I like to party hard. So it's kind of cool to go to like these events and like have our professional moments, and then our moments where everybody lets loose, and really that's like very little judgment, especially amongst that faction of people. I mean, when it comes to the suits and ties and things like that, I mean, obviously they're not going to be as acceptant of people who are like taking psychedelics or smoking medicinal herbs and things like that. So, which are things that take place at Anarchapulco. I actually encouraged a couple people to go visit the shamans.
Yeah, they have a couple like mind expanding days there.
Yeah,
But
ayahuasca,
yeah,
DMT, mushrooms.
what is ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca is a plant that grows in South America. I'm not an expert on it, but it's a plant that causes like some sort of hallucinogenic effect in your brain. Something that they compare to um, a chemical release of when you're born and when you die. And ayahuasca alone itself doesn't necessarily do anything for you because there's something inside of your stomach and your digestive system that actually works as an inhibitor for whatever it is in that plant that causes that effect. So somewhere in South America, some tribe, shaman, person discovered that the combination of two different plants would, if I'm correct, it's either two different plants or two different things, ingredients, one of which is something that turns off that digestive inhibitor to allow that effect of the ayahuasca to get into you. But it was like,
I'm no expert, but let me tell you, my expert fucking that was expert, dude. That was
I've
expert.
never done it though. This is all I know.
Yeah,
Now,
that's a lot.
DMT is like more of a synthetic version of what ayahuasca is. And ayahuasca, it's not something you would take for recreational purposes. It's something that you would take for therapeutic reasons. And if you don't even understand what I'm talking about, then it's obviously something that you don't need to mess with. But there are some people that like to do some internal evaluating and psychology and just growing spiritual experiences. And these kind of plant medicines give people that opportunity. So
I was born and I also died.
I was born too.
I don't remember anything weird when I died. It just was like went black, then I woke up, and then I went black, and then I was. And it
Isn't
was
that called just going to bed?
I guess, man. I remember.
So you
I,
die every night and you wake up every morning?
it's similar, dude. I remember because this chick, the nurse was like gonna cut my shorts off, and they were my favorite shorts, and I was like, no, 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 they're my favorite shorts. Don't cut it. And then I died. I went black. And then she was coming in with the scissors, and she cut my shorts off, which I was still pissed about. Those literally were the best shorts ever. And then I woke up, and she was putting a catheter in me when I woke up. and then she had my dick. She was put it in, and I peed on her, and I laughed, and that was it. Then I I died right then. My last thing was laughing at her for peeing on her.
Yeah,
And
you definitely, maybe
I
you need
woke
to
up
seek some help.
I woke up 2 weeks later in a coma from a coma. It was pretty trippy.
A coma from a coma?
No, I woke up 2 weeks later. I was in a coma. I died then. They brought me back, but I was in a coma.
I
But
thought
that
you were in
was
a coma inside of a coma.
I don't know,
Like you were comatose, and inside your comatose, you were comatose in your comatose state.
dude. You've been smoking too much, man. No, I peed on the nurse. I laughed at her, and then I died. And then I woke up 2 weeks later,
I get it.
and that was it. But
Okay.
I still miss those shorts. Those were good shorts. Uh,
Maybe you don't smoke enough.
maybe I don't know.
Dude,
Um,
man, I really enjoyed it, and I do. Like I said, I want to do more content together, and I want to bring you on my channel too.
I'll definitely do that. So subscribe to Rice. Subscribe to the Cryptopolitan. Hit the like button if you haven't. Anything else you want to go over or talk about?
No, man. I mean, I think that, like I said, I was just kind of a little bit limited on time. I've had a crazy day and I got to do some stuff with my old lady. But, I definitely want to, explore the opportunity of doing more content because I enjoy our conversations. I mean, I could talk for hours about all kinds of different things. And,
Yeah, we went all over the place, man. We did.
yeah. And even as, much as I have been partaking in my medicinal herbs, I was still trying as much as possible to stay on track and circle back and make sure that, yeah.
Yeah, and for Ken, I've actually stopped saying marijuana because he yelled at me and told me it was racist. So now I say cannabis or pot, and I didn't say marijuana. He goes, what other?" He said, "What other word do you say in the native Latin? What is it? Any other word?" Quid pro quo? I don't know, man.
That's awesome. Quid pro quo. No quid pro quo.
No. All right, man.
No.
Well, it was good hanging out with you. It was good
Yeah,
hanging
dude,
out with
definitely.
all of y'all. I'm So Sean. That's Chris Rice Crypto. See y'all in the next video.